Oh, yes, we are live on a mid-season review. Serie A has this super long holiday break, which is good and bad. I mean, I actually have to spend time with my family and play with my kid. It's torture, but eventually the games will be back, my friends. Alex Donno alongside Jerry Mancini, as always. Let me introduce our guests. We always bring in the first-timers first. Joining us from All Juve Cast, Lex, and I love your Twitter handle, Lex. It's
Oh,
anytime I
thank
see
you.
puns, it always makes me smile. Welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for so much for having me on the show. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, we're excited to have you on. And a man who really needs no introduction. He's become one of our favorites. In fact, we should probably bring this guy on more often. But, Jerry and I have this rule that we can only tolerate Juventini like once every 2 months. But we are surrounded today. And William is back with us. Billy Eagle, how you doing, sir?
Good, man. How are you?
Doing really well, and yeah, part of this episode
Excellent.
will be not only taking a look at Serie A and the table and some of the highlights and lowlights here at the break. We do want to take a deep dive on Juventus as well, and that's why we have populated the panel as such. Before we get into that, let me introduce my co-host Jerry Mancini. And Jerry, you're up there in the Toronto area, and you're not the only one from the Toronto area on this episode because Lex is up that way as well. And Jerry, we were talking about this weeks ago before any of this stuff was happening with TFC, that you're going to be a credentialed member of the media this upcoming MLS season. And normally we don't talk MLS on the show, but my God, Jerry, I mean, it looks like Lorenzo Insigne is very likely on his way to Toronto FC. And he may not be the only one, the only Italian player on his way, because Belotti could be on his way there as well. And I've been telling people, listen, because my local Inter Miami, it's basically a scam because they always just promise all this shit. They don't deliver on anything. So I might have to put my allegiances on TFC with all these Italians. Is Jovinko coming back as well? Jerry, how you doing?
I'm doing very good, and I want to actually give the credit to Will Forbes at Transfer MLS because he's the guy who actually broke the story first about Lorenzo Insigne, and he first tweeted out that it was 75% sure that it was coming. Then he tweeted out last week 95%, and this week he confirmed it, and I feel bad for the guy because he never got any credit, and I actually reached out to him, and he said that the reason to TFC doing this is because last year they went with the low cost kind of rebuild kind of way of not buying the big profile players, but trying to develop, trying to get some of the low marquee players, and it didn't work out well for them. And you can see that the attendance wasn't there. The results were very bad. They just weren't producing on the field, and they were one of the worst teams this season. So what TFC is doing now is they're going back to what was successful, and that was bringing the marquee players in that will attract players to go watch the game, and a blend of having that young talent in the lineup. So I think this is a smart decision, and they're not going back to what they did last year. They're going to stay strong and stick to their core. And I think in the coming seasons, TFC is going to be more predominant compared to what they were. And you know what? I didn't even think about it. And credit to Jan in our chat group. I always forget MLSE is TFC. And these guys are rich motherfuckers, okay? They got money. Like, they got money, and they can splurge and spend that kind of dough to get Insigne to come to the MLS. They can buy Belotti. They got cash in the reserves. Like, it's not like they can't do it. I think Insigne will probably happen. Would I be surprised if it didn't? No. I said my opinion that I never thought that Insigne was going to come. I've doubted. I spoke out yesterday that I was wrong, but at the same time, it hasn't been official, so no one's really right now. Like, it's all speculation, and the market's still not open.
Well, yeah, and originally, like they got the number way wrong. They said like 11.7 million euros a season. Now it's like 5.7. I think that maybe it was a problem with like some of the reported figures. A, the conversion from dollars to euros, and B, like in Italy, they report the wages after tax, and in North America they report the wages before tax. So that could have been the snafu there, Jerry.
Well, here's the thing: the market's not open, like I just said, and the fact that until it's actually official, then you can say, "Hey, yeah, he's going to Toronto." But tomorrow morning, you can wake up and all of a sudden ADL has a change of heart and says, "Hey, I'm going to up the price to $4.5 million what he wanted, and I'm going to sign him." Like, things can change overnight. Very rare does it happen, but like anything's possible. Like, the market's not open. We don't know. So maybe he changes his mind and doesn't go to TSC. Like, maybe he chooses not to leave his family. Like, these are big decisions, right? So he is interested in the project, but we don't know what goes behind the scenes. For all we know, it's not enough to like kind of bring him there, but I guess in time. As for Belotti, I think that's a long shot. He's still he's just going into his prime. The guy can go play for so many teams that it's not.
Well, how old is Belotti now? Because like
28.
Okay,
He's
so
28.
he's like, but Insigne is not old either. I mean, he's 30. Because like usually when you see big names go to MLS, it's usually 34, 35. It's like you don't usually head this way at that point in your career. But yeah, he's a couple of years younger than Insigne. And real quick before we get into Serie A, I'll ask the panel below me, and I don't know if either of you are like big MLS fans already. I'm assuming you're probably not, but like Lex, like if Insigne arrives, and even if like Belotti may also come, does that make you more likely to watch MLS games this coming season?
Oh, for sure. And I think TFC was having problems with that, where attendance had been down. I know, like, my brother went to watch the Canada game at BMO back in the fall. There was like 20,000 in attendance, and then TFC played the following day. It was like 5,000 or something. So I definitely think that TFC is trying to bring in some big names, like especially like Insigne, try and restore that success they had with Javinko. I definitely think that's their plan. And as for Insigne deciding to come, I mean, like you mentioned, that's a big decision to leave Napoli, to leave your family, or to move your family, whatever he does. And I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's on De Laurentiis for not giving him what he's asking for. Like, he's not asking for an outrageous amount of money. And for a player that's stayed loyal, pretty well been at Napoli his whole career, I say you match his offer, you match what he wants. But
yeah, especially because it sounds like what he wants from Napoli is not even as much as he's going to get from TFC. So he's like, I'm willing to give you guys a discount, just not as big of a discount as you want me to take. Well, what about you, Will? You don't strike me as a huge MLS fan. Are you?
For real.
But you're going to check out some games. You're going to check out some games.
Yeah. I'll tune in when they're on ESPN. I'll watch. But no, it's not something I seek out. I don't have enough time to like watch the teams that I like, let alone like pick up like a new squad. So if Insigne comes, I'll tune in. But otherwise, no, not for me.
No,
like, it's just not what I grew up watching. So like my allegiance is with Serie A.
I wish I was like you, man. I'm a football freaking like junkie, where I'll watch City.
I did watch Spurs. That's one thing I did do when they were on last.
Okay.
Yeah, because of Conte.
Because of Conte, yes, me too.
Yeah. See, I'll watch the French league. I'll watch freaking anything league, man. Whatever. I'll watch even a Turkish game if it's on. Tomorrow I'll be watching Porto versus Benfica. I got to record it already. Like, I'm just like that. I don't know. But no, it's good that you don't, man, because there's more to life than just watching football all the time. But
I mean, like, I'll tune into the El Clasico when they play, or like when Real plays Atletico. Like, maybe I'll watch that, depending who's on the clubs at the time. Like when Messi and Ronaldo were playing each other, obviously there's a lot bigger draw. Now, as like a casual, when it comes to that, I'm just like, nothing too exciting.
I had one more question to Lex, and then I want to get in on some Juve topics because, Lex, your first time on the show, we always have to ask the first timers, how did you become a Juve fan? Like, what was your tie to the club? What got you in love with it?
All right, so for me, it was the 2006 World Cup, and that was definitely summer. Fell in love with Calcio and probably Buffon. That was the reason that I became a Juve fan. I
So
love
just in
Buffon
time for
and
Serie B.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, he brought me over there, and my brother, as I mentioned before, he's also a Juve fan too. So we both huge Juve fans, and yeah, so that would be my story.
Awesome. Well, and I'll start with you on this one, Lex. I had a feeling when I threw this out in our chat group earlier, you didn't spoil it for me, but I have a feeling you have a strong opinion about this. How much do you miss Cristiano Ronaldo? You know, he was around for the first couple games of the season. Then before the transfer window closes, he heads back home to Manchester United. How much do you miss CR7?
Well, for me, I have a very interesting relationship with the whole CR7 question. Probably more of one of love-hate. I couldn't stand Ronaldo back when he was on Real Madrid. I couldn't stand him. I don't know if it was maybe just a little bit of bitterness from the Champions League finals or whatnot, or from Champions League in general, from that bicycle kick or anything like that. But anyways, when he did end up coming, you know, I was like getting arguably the best player in the world right now at our club. Like, this is great. I enjoyed watching him play for us. He did really well. But in terms of how much do I miss him, I think it was time to move on. I mean, I was definitely felt blindsided by him leaving 3 days before the Mercato closed. It was about 3 days or something. And I think that really played a big role in the kind of the situation that our team's in right now. You know, when Ronaldo walked out the door, so did 35 goals, right? Like 30 plus goals walked out with him. And how do you make up those numbers, right? And we didn't get a chance to find another striker in that amount of time to make up those numbers. And so I think that for me, I think I like a round turn. He posted something when Ronaldo left, and for me, this summarized it perfectly. It was 3 years, 134 games, 101 goals, 3 different coaches, and many issues. You probably arrived at the wrong time, and this is the biggest regret. Thank you, Chris. Time to move on. Pity you left this way. We deserve more than this. So for me, that is pretty well summarized my opinion. I don't know if Will, you want anything to add?
Did it end with Grazzi, spelled Graczi?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Shows you how much Italian he learned during his time here.
You know,
I have very strong opinions about this, and they've been logically consistent throughout the whole process. Never a fan, never cared for him.
good.
I thought it was a foolish waste of money.
Yep.
You're spending 100 million plus on the transfer, then 30 million a year after taxes. Why? When at the time you had Higuain, Dybala, Douglas Costa, Juan Cuadrado, Federico Bernardeschi, et cetera, a young Moiskin coming up through the system. When the problem, as it still is today, is the midfield. What are you doing? It was a marketing exercise. It was to appeal to little kids all throughout the world to get more Instagram pages and more likes. And that's why Pepe Murata, he left the club. I mean, I think that was a big reason why. He was like, no, I don't want this. Paratici, through his infinite wisdom, because he's done a terrific job. Luckily, he's gone now. He can ruin Spurs. He decided, we got to do this. And, it had horrific knock-on effects for the club in the preceding years. The instability with the coaching ranks. You had allegedly, you had a little bit of a mutiny that Ronaldo would not listen to Sarri's directions. I was not the biggest Sarri admirer, but I think what he brings to the table is interesting. It's not the way I want Juventus to play, but I think he should be heard, and the players should follow the manager and their tactics. And Allegri mysteriously departing after his what was that, his 6th Scudetto in a row or whatever it was. I mean, I never understood that. I'm glad he's back. I'm hoping that Agnelli follows through on his words. His whole reasoning, part of it anyway, at the time was, we're going to sign Ronaldo so we can sign the next big young talent. I think you can't let Dusan Vlahovic get away. You have to find some way to get him. That Ronaldo money is free now. They're no longer paying him. that 30 million plus a year. Obviously, you shouldn't pay Dusan Vlahovic $30 million a year. I mean, I think like 10 million is as high as I would go, because you don't want to like start a precedent that you're going to pay like a youngster 15, 16 million dollars a year, because you're going to have established players in the team going, what the fuck? Where's my money? That have been there like for 4, 5, 6 years, etc. And I mean, Juventus are doing that now a little bit with De Ligt. They started him out with such a high salary, and then you got Dybala coming along. It's like, you know, where's my pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, basically. So, yeah, not a Ronaldo fan. Never been a Ronaldo fan. I'm very happy that he's gone. I think long term it's going to benefit the club, and I think I remember coming on the first time. I was like, by late November, early December, we're going to get like a feel how Juventus' season is going to go. And I think things are trending upward now.
Oh, yeah.
I think by late March, we're really going to see things like really trending upward. But I don't fear the top four. I know we're going to get in the top four. I think Napoli is doing their Napoli thing, which is getting off to like a fast start and then trailing off.
It's the Spalletti thing as well. Whether Roma, Inter, now Napoli, you get the Spalletti winter blackout.
Yeah. You know, Milan, you know, two geriatrics at striker. One's always hurt. I mean, they have a great midfield. We'll see how they do, but I think they're going to probably fall off, and I think Juventus is going to surpass those two teams. Atalanta is kind of like Juve. They're going to take off as the season progresses. They always do. Gasperini will drill down those tactics, and like they'll stop thinking. They'll just play muscle memory, basically. And Inter, I think, is going to, unfortunately, probably win the Scudetto right now.
There's too many good vibes. Like, I'm gonna mush it. Like, I think Will, you're aware of my mushing powers. I know Jerry is. Like, I had an awesome time this afternoon. I was on a panel on football worldwide, led by our buddy Anthony Privatera, and you know he had me on to talk some Inter. He had Lucci on to talk Juve. He had various great people on to talk Atalanta, Roma, Napoli, and everybody on the panel, including myself, reluctantly did predict Inter to finish it out on top. And I hate making those predictions because something bad's going to happen. I can almost guarantee that. But Will, let me pick up with you, and then Lex, you can say your piece on this as well. Since it was a good segue you offered talking about Juventus trending up, and if we look at the table, they've worked their way up to fifth place, 34 points. They're 4 points out of the final Champions League spot at the moment, exactly midway through the season. And let's talk about the Allegri factor, okay? So Allegri has returned, and there's been ups and downs, and the start to the season was pretty rocky. But if you go through the recent results, outside of a 1-1 draw with Venezia on December 11th, you've had 2-0 win over Cagliari, 2-0 over Bologna, 1-0 over Malmo in Champions League, 2-0 over Genoa, 2-0 over Salernitana. So you're seeing a lot of clean sheets and a lot of Allegri-like results, Will. So have you seen this team sort of reintegrating to the Max Allegri style? Like how much progress are you seeing in Allegri ball?
Yeah, I would say I think he laid his foundation down. Like, I think he still doesn't know how to fit all the pieces together. I think that's why he's been playing this 4-4-2 this season. Obviously, it's starting to change now. You're seeing more of a 4-2-3-1, etc. But yeah, I think the foundation has been laid, and the defense is a very good point to bring up, because you look at the last, the last 15 years, the team that gives up the least amount of goals in Serie A, they normally win the league. So I think that right there is a very encouraging sign for Juventus to do well, because I believe they've only given up 17 goals this season, and I think it's third best in Serie A. So that right there tells me that the defensive structure, that foundation has been laid. Now, the next thing is gonna be, can they get the offense to function as it should? I mean, the midfield is going to be the big thing. If Dybala can't stay healthy, he's really crucial because he provides that linkage between the midfield and the attack. That's why he's always back at the halfway mark, which annoys the shit out of me. That's the one thing Maurizio Sarri got right, which is making him stay in front of the net and making him show his offensive talent. I kind of blame his injuries to some degree on Allegri, and it's kind of like what Allegri did with Al Sharari back in the day, that had him tracking back like all the time. I mean, Dybala is not a big guy by any means. Like he's quite slight in stature, so to be tracking back all the time and then going in attack and tracking back and going, it's just not a good mixture. And I think that's why he's picking up all these like muscle type injuries. But yeah, the foundation has been laid. We'll see what happens on offense. I'd love for them to get Luis Muriel or someone like that. I mean, I don't see them signing a big name now. Like the idea of getting Dusan Vlahovic is like a pipe dream at the moment in January.
Yeah.
Scamacca, no. I think he's good, but I'm not gonna. I think settling is a really bad idea. Like I don't want to drop $45 million on a player that's not a sure thing. I'd rather spend a little bit more and get him, because I watch Sassuolo. Like I'm quite fond of them, how they play. I like Frattesi quite a bit, the midfielder. I actually want Juventus to go after him. He's a poor man's Nicolo Barella, and he's kind of like the one who got away from me. I was very high on him. It's nice to see him develop like he has, but it's a shame he's on Inter. But back to Scamacca, he's got great natural ability, but I think like his runs sometimes they leave a lot to be desired, and maybe that's to do with youth. But I think there's some holes in his game, and to spend like 40 to 45 million for an incomplete player, no. Spend the 70, spend the 75 to get Vlahovic, because this guy is amazing. Like he is a can't miss talent. I don't want to say he's as good as Haaland on Dortmund, but
close.
I don't think the gap is as wide as people think. Yeah.
I think I want to add on that. I think consistency is the biggest issue with Scamacca, where he's gone really hot this year, and everybody's like, "Oh, we got the number 9 in Italy. Let's replace him with Immobile," and it's like, whoa. Let's pedal back. We all know that Immobile doesn't do what he does with Lazio, and I'll be the first to admit that. But you also have to remember that he hasn't equated to what Immobile has done, even with his own team. So you need to see more of that from Scamacca, from his own team, in order to equate that to the actual national team. Like that, and I agree with Will. Like you've seen 45 million for a player that you've seen ifs, but not enough. Yes, like it's a big risk, man. Like that's I'm on. Well, I'll say I agree with you about Ronaldo. Fuck him. Can't stand him. That son of a bitch. I hate him so much.
Tell us how you really feel. My God.
I fucking hate him. I'm sorry. Did
he steal your high school girlfriend or something? Like
here's the thing. Why is it that Immobile, who everyone criticizes, can't play in a 4-3-3, and everyone criticizes that he can't coach good players, and he's gotten Immobile to still perform at a high level without Simone Inzaghi, second in the league in goals, and he's missed quite a few games this year and still is producing at an efficient rate. Like he has Sergei Milinkovic-Savic on track to have one of his best seasons. Like, and people say, "Oh, maybe Sarri wasn't the right fit." I think Will got it down right. It's not that Sarri is a bad coach; he just wasn't the right fit for Juventus. But, and he also said another good point: when you're not listening to your coach, it's the player's responsibility to do what they're told and to do what they have to do on the pitch. When you start acting as an individual for yourself, it kind of deteriorates the whole club. And I think that was a big issue with Ronaldo, where he's not a team player. He doesn't help. He's an I, not a we. And that really kind of hurt Sarri in so many ways that to Sarri, it's like, this is a guy who is not manageable. Like it's either you just give up your reins and say, "Hey, Ronaldo's the coach, and I'll just do whatever he says," like it was Zidane.
He's like LeBron James. Like he's a soccer version of LeBron.
Like why is Sarri? I know Sarri. Like I know this is Juventus, but I'm just saying, like, why is it that this guy gets criticized so much, and it really bothers him, because it's like,
Well, it's its personality. That's part of the reason.
I think
why.
that's what it is.
He won the Scudetto.
Maybe.
Like, I feel like
Yeah.
people forget that. He did win a Scudetto with us. So, I mean, I feel like he does get overly criticized. And like you mentioned, Ronaldo, just you can't play Saudi ball or whatever, his system with a player like Ronaldo in it. Like, and that was evident because, and we also didn't have the midfield at all for Saudi ball either at the time. And I don't know, it's interesting. I think when you talked about, Will brought up some good points about kind of that overturn of coaches. I think a lot of it had to do with Ronaldo. This is just purely my guesses, but I think like moving on from Saudi, I think Ronaldo didn't like him. I think Allegri actually, when Ronaldo came, Allegri left after that first year he coached Ronaldo. I think that had to do with them not getting along. I think that Allegri coming back was the management choosing Allegri and choosing their coach over Ronaldo. And so I think that's why Ronaldo made the decision to leave, because for once Juve decided to back their coach, back their manager, instead of kind of following the direction of a player. This again is my perception of the situation.
I think your perception is spot on. And I go back to, I think there was a Juve Ronaldo when Allegri was still in charge, and then Juve Ronaldo when Allegri was in charge at Ronaldo, they acquiesced to him and his needs more. And that goes back to the Man United game in the Champions League. Juventus at home. Juventus was up 1-0 for most of the game. Ronaldo scored from a beautiful Bonucci pass, and Juventus wound up losing, I believe, 2-1. It seemed like at that point, like the offense became a lot more geared towards Ronaldo, and tactics were changed, et cetera, all to placate to him. And as we saw with every year, with Ronaldo on the team and Juventus in the Champions League, they regressed. I mean, it's great that he had that moment of magic against Atletico Madrid. Awesome. But you shouldn't lose to Ajax. I'm sorry. No way. No way. And the Juve of a couple of years ago that had that determination and that structure prior to him arriving, there's no way in hell they lose to Ajax.
I think Buffon
They would have gutted
mentioned
it out
something.
and won 1-0.
Buffon
Yeah,
mentioned
that
it too.
Buffon quote that was circulating a couple days ago, where it was taken a bit out of context, but he essentially said along those lines, right, that we were more of a team prior to Ronaldo's arrival, right? And then that's the team, that type of team spirit and team cohesion was what brought us to those two Champions League finals.
I like that. And Lex, pick up on the Allegri point.
Hold on. We're still on this Ronaldo thing. We don't know. I think the biggest loss, other than like the whole structure and losing the identity, is Beppe Marotta. I'll end it there. I think that's what people don't. And I think, and I like how Will said it before. And I wrote an article about why Ronaldo, the signing Ronaldo, was bad. And I actually wrote a piece this past summer. I still haven't finished it. I always leave it to the side.
Like 6 months ago.
Yeah, the blessing in disguise of Paratici leaving Juventus is another blessing for them. I think he's terrible. I don't think he's a good sporting director. I don't think the deals he made the last couple of years were great. I know that your budget is tied under Ronaldo, but you still got to make smart signings and not go below $7 million a year on a player like Rabiot and injury-prone Ramsey. Like, I'm sorry, like I won't say a Paratici is 100% bad. He's done some good things to the club too. That you cannot fault him, but I would say it's more bad than good. But losing Beppe Marotta, and then look what he did to Inter. Like, it's a slap in the face.
Thank you for that, by the way.
It's such a slap. It is, though, because he goes and in 2 years he gets a Scudetto. Like,
yeah, and look, Inter lost Lukaku, lost Hakimi, and it's like, Lukaku who? Hakimi who? Like, they didn't even skip a beat.
Well.
I'm telling you, man.
Yeah, he went and replaced, like, it's his scouting, and Marotta found players that fit their role and replaced those players. They made a lot of money off of them. I mean, that was great.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing for me on Marotta, like he's an actual grown-up and he's an actual professional, because one of the things that throughout most of my lifetime, it made Inter really frustrating, but also kind of charming because it was part of the identity of the club. The whole Pazze Inter is, it's usually like chaos is normal. Like, at Inter, chaos is normal. You have, eccentric ownership in the past. I love Moratti to death, but, very, very eccentric individual, eccentric directors, managers, and all that. And it's like, you never really know, like, who's making the decisions, why are they making the decisions. There's not a whole lot of alignment, with management and sporting directors. And then suddenly Pepe Marotta shows up, 3.5 years ago, and it's been a well-oiled machine ever since. And I know that Marotta has to deal with a lot, from ownership because of a lot of the financial troubles. And I don't think he imagined when he signed up that he would have to deal with, so much bullshit from the Chinese government and all that, deciding where the funds can come from. And he's still done an excellent job. So, yeah, I mean, listen, I certainly, I respected Marotta when he was at Juve, and I don't think anyone really realized how important he was at Juve until he was able to go to Inter and recreate a lot of that success. But Lex, on Max Allegri, how have you rated the reunion so far? And did it make maybe, and this is, my perspective from the outside looking in, did it take maybe a little bit longer than you thought to start playing Allegri ball again? Because I think you're doing that for the most part at this point.
Yeah, I mean, we got to ask the question too, like, what is Allegri ball? I feel like he has I just don't know if Allegri's the right coach for where Juve's at right now. This is just my opinion. I think that I would have kept Pirlo. And I don't know if I would have said this at the end of last season. Don't know. But I think that you had players like Chiesa he had his breakout season there under Pirlo. And you have to give credit to Pirlo for that. And I think he's just hasn't been the same under Allegri. And also Morata was balling out last year under Pirlo as well. Not to the same extent under Allegri. But that being said, you do have to factor in that Pirlo did have Ronaldo last season, right? And that is a huge bonus. That's a guaranteed plus 30 goals for your team over the course of the season. Whereas Allegri, minus Ronaldo, but plus Locatelli, right? And I don't know. I think Juve's at a point where they've been in limbo for a couple of years. We don't know. Are we trying to do a bit of a rebuild? Are we not doing a rebuild? Like, what's going on? And I don't know if signing Allegri to that 5-year contract, a lot of money we're paying him right now, a lot of money. I don't know if I'm sold on it. And maybe that's also, but then again, you have to factor in that it's not necessarily his squad yet. He hasn't had a chance to bring in his players. There's been a lot of injuries. He started with that 4-4-2 at the beginning of the season, which was not good. I'm very glad we've moved on from I think we moved on from it, but very glad we moved on from the 4-4-2. But then again, that was Pirlo's formation, and Allegri tends to do that, right? He built off of Conte's 3-5-2, so he's building off of Pirlo's 4-4-2. And he's also, as I mentioned, has been riddled with injuries, missing Dybala. Chiesa now, those are two of our main attacking players. And you got to give Allegri credit for Berna flourishing again under him. That's been nice, seeing a little bit of a Berna redemption arc here. I'm a Berna supporter, so I'm happy for him. But I mean...
I like him, actually. And I think one of the reasons why I gravitate towards Berna is because he gets so much shit, and so I tend to sometimes I'll be like, guys, it's not that bad. Like he shows up every now and again.
I'm sorry, but with Dybala missing, he really stepped in and filled that creative hole that we have in our team. And he was a joy to watch. He was quite honestly my favorite player to watch of the last couple months of the season. And as I mentioned, I think Allegri trying out 4-3-3, that 4-2-3-1. I love the 4-2-3-1. 4-3-3 is a variation of it, you can argue. So I think either formation that he tries to play around with, I think it's better. And I don't know, Allegri, I'm at this weird point right now where I didn't really enjoy watching the Allegri ball or watching Allegri's team, especially the last year when he was here before. The first season with Ronaldo, his last season, was painful to watch. But then again, we did make 2 Champions League finals with him. There was success. But I think if you look at that squad and you compare it to our like current maybe starting 11, I think some of the players that we have don't even make the bench of the squads from like that started in 2015 or 2017. Like guys like Rabiot. I mean, I don't like to like riff on players, but that's
He
one
deserves
player I'm just like, I can't take it. Can't take watching him anymore. But anyways, that's my 2 cents on Allegri. I'm kind of at this weird place where I don't know what to think. I don't know if I'm sold on him yet. I don't know if he was the man for the job. I think that I would have stuck with Pirlo for some type of continuity because we were lacking that the last few seasons. But
That's well said. Anyway, and Jerry, let me bring you back in with this. Now, personally,
I got a thought in my head already. I can just
go ahead.
I don't think Ronaldo's guaranteed 30 goals anymore. You said that you're guaranteed Ronaldo 30 goals. I don't think so. And I don't even think Messi's guaranteed 30 goals anymore. Like, I think these guys are in a different stage in their career where I think they're guaranteed that they can help you in Champions League. That's the goal from them. I think that's the priority.
Yeah.
When you're bringing a Ronaldo / Messi, you don't care what they do in Ligue 1 or what they do in the EPL. What you care about is what they do in the Champions League. That's what they're there for. They're there to help in the big tournaments. And I pulled up his stats, and he's got 7 goals in 14 matches in the Premier League, Ronaldo. But in UEFA Champions League, he's got 6 goals in 5 matches. You know what I mean? Like, no. Then again, United was in a pretty competitive group, so I can't say it was like against scrubs, but. My point is Ronaldo's no longer the player that he is. If you guys watched the game on Monday, he looked dreadful. That again, they didn't play for 16 days either, so it's not entirely. But I don't think Ronaldo's the same player he once was, where he'll track back or he'll help the defense and run, and that's not him. He's like a hockey poacher, where you got a guy who. Seriously, he's a guy who stands up front, and you're hoping he scores those dirty goals now for you, or he's in those areas where he can attack. But you're really playing with a man down, in my opinion, with more with Ronaldo. I think that it's surprising that Messi really can't score in the Ligue 1. And you know what? In a way, I freaking love it, because it kind of gives more integrity to the league, and it shows that it's not just like, oh, Messi's going to come here and walk all over us and he's going to score 40 goals, and we're going to show that the French league is not that good and we can't play against better players.
And by the way, I remember a lot of people, haters, like when Ronaldo came over to Serie A, a lot. Maybe this was just like a North American thing. Just people who don't watch Serie A are like, oh, he's going to go over there, he's going to score 50 goals a year and just boss
the Farmers League, blah blah blah.
Yeah, farmer. Yeah, you heard a lot of that, but it's like, no, it's not a farmer. Like, I'm screaming it from the mountaintops. It's not a Farmers League. Just because all the people that I know, because there's not a whole lot of Italians or Italian Americans in my area. It's very Hispanic influence. So there's a lot of La Liga fans who gravitate towards the Spanish teams, and of course Premier League fans, because it's just marketed so well in the States that there's Premier fans. So a lot of people I know just don't even watch Serie A. It's like, oh, he's going to Italy. He's going to score 60 goals a year. He's going to sit out the games against the bad teams. They don't even need to play him. And it's like, well, okay. I took a little bit. I mean, listen, he scored quite a few goals in the league, but I took some pride as a Serie A fan in the fact that he didn't just come over and boss the league.
Absolutely.
I like the support for Bernardeschi. I think he's a good player. I think he just needs some consistency, some consistent playing time, some continuity. So, and he needs like a player. He needs a system that's built for him. Like, I just think that far too often
he needs a sports psychologist. That's what he needs. He's very
emotional.
talented.
He's emotional.
He's got great technical ability.
Yeah.
Same thing with Rabiot. Rabiot is very talented as well. I don't know what his issue is, but he's
his mother.
Seriously,
player. It's his mother. That was the issue. No, seriously, it's his mother.
Crazy
his
mom.
mother's his agent. She's a crazy nutcase. Okay, she ruined him at PSG. Didn't play for, I think, in his final season, like because of the contracts or whatever the heck it was. I don't know the technicality. Comes to Juventus, and his mind is not there half the time. Like, she is such a bad influence, and it doesn't help him. And that's where he has to have the balls and say, hey, you know what? It's time for me to get rid of my agent. Ma, you're my mother, but you know what? Thanks for coming out. And I need to take care of myself, because it's. I'm telling you, his mother is the reason why his game is so inconsistent. He was such a great player before he had that freaking outfall with PSG. One of the best midfielders. Like, and all of a sudden, the guy's lost his mind. Like, come on, you know what I mean? Like, but I know what Alex is gonna ask. Would you guys extend the contract of Paulo Dybala? And I know Alex.
You did know, actually. I was like, I don't know where he's going to go with this, but I did want to go there.
Like, come on, like,
Yes.
I'll give my 2 cents.
Beautiful boy.
He's my beautiful boy.
I think he's Juventus. Like, he's the heart and soul, like Immobile is to Lazio. The difference is his health. And I think to give that kind of money to a player that just can't stay healthy is a big risk. You talk about not buying players like Ronaldo and investing so much. Now, I know that's not Ronaldo type money, but it's still a lot for a guy who can't stay healthy. And I think it's a big risk. Like, it's two-sided. You keep him, you got a good player. The problem is, can he stay healthy for 30 games at least? Like, no player plays.
I want to interject for a little bit.
Like, go ahead, man.
This is a very important fact.
No, you know more than me about Juventus. I'll say what I think, though. I think this guy's a hell of a player, and I think he gets shit on way too much. I think people shit on this guy like Immobile gets shit on for other reasons. Like, it's like, and I have to say Immobile because it's comparable.
That's Jerry's beautiful boy.
Well, it's comparable. I'll defend him, but I'll also go against him when he's not good. I'll say it.
No, you won't. I'm just kidding. I know you will. I'm just fucking around.
But you gotta know when the good and bad is, and even you gotta put your love for a player aside and think about the team too, right? But
of course.
Hold on, I just want to say something to David because he's a good guy. I gave up on Marici. Okay, go ahead. Fucking wasted $20 million.
Yeah. So back to Dybala. I mean, the injury prone thing is kind of like blown out of proportion. It's the last year and a half that he's gotten hurt. And part of it was due to COVID that he got like screwed up. So hold on, everyone. Just like let's look at like the data and then let's come to a conclusion. And on top of that, let's say Dybala returns to what he was when he was playing consistently. Let's say like pre-Ronaldo era, which is a number of years ago. Like that $10 million contract then is a steal at that point, because everyone was anointing him as like the new Messi, especially after Juventus like dismantled Barcelona, which was tremendously unfair to him because he's not, Messi. I mean, no one is. Like, that was a lot of pressure to be hoisted upon him. But I think if you're paying him $10 million a year and he returns to that level of play, that's a hell of a deal for Juventus. And right now, you've got to take some risk in the market because Juventus can't. I don't know if Juventus can go out and get Vlahovic and someone better than Dybala and be able to afford both things right now. They don't have that type of capital at their disposal. So you got to look at it like a stock or something that you're buying kind of like low right now. It's been beaten down, but it has a lot of upside potential. I think Dybala still has a lot of upside potential. This is not someone on the wrong side at 30. He's 28 years old.
And he loves the club too.
He does. He does love the club. And our president, Donno and Jerry, loves him. So we're going to get the deal done.
Real Don and fake Don both love him.
I like that analogy. I like that. I like the thought about how it's a stock market. You're buying it.
Yeah.
You're taking a risk on a stock that's kind of like down, but there's a lot of upside to it. It's a good way of looking at it because, I rate Dybala highly, and I think that the guy is on his best day is probably the best player in the league. If anything, if that guy was never hurt, I think he would be MVP player. Like, when he's healthy, Juventus is on another level. When he's not in the lineup, they're not the same team in some ways. So,
No, 100%, they're not the same team because all the creativity is sucked out of the club. I mean, now that Bernardeschi is playing better, that's not as big of an issue. I mean, props to him. I love to see it, and I want to see those two work together now. I think that'll be actually quite good to see.
Dybala with Chiesa and Berna on the wings. I'd like to see those three together. I think that would be interesting.
Yeah,
but I completely agree with you, William and Jerry, on the Dybala question. I'm a little bit of a Dybala fan, as you can probably tell. just a little bit, but I got his jersey on right now. No, but
if you left, you would have to change your Twitter name, and nobody wants that.
I know. That wouldn't work out for me. So, no, I would definitely extend him.
Burn Alexa would be your new name.
Burn Alexa. There we go. Perfect. Just in case you got a backup plan now. No, but I would definitely extend him. I just think it's like, what's the point of letting him leave on a free? Like, some people are saying, to offload a salary. I'm like, I think
that's
that
what that crappy club in Milan does.
What happened?
He's our
what do they do?
What the crappy club of Milan does.
What do they do? Sorry, I missed that.
Let people go on.
Let players go on free.
Oh yeah, they're so stupid. They're we're not stupid, but
Kessie next.
Yeah, let her talk.
No, it's okay. I was saying realistically, we should have, if we wanted to let him go, we should have gotten rid of him 3 years ago when they were bringing in huge offers for him. But he stayed, and I think he's such a big part of our club's identity. Like you said, like Dybala is Juventus right now, and I just think also what people didn't consider that are saying not to extend his contract is like, who are we replacing him with? Like you mentioned, when he doesn't play, our club has zero creativity. Like there's a huge difference, and this is maybe just purely from a perspective of someone who's watching. When you watch Juve play with Dybala versus without Dybala, it's a huge difference in the game. He's the one, as you mentioned, who transitions that ball to the attack, and I just think that that's a player that's not easily replaced, and so that's probably my main argument for extending him, like you said. And
you're 100% correct, because there's not even a lot of players like in the market. Like who's like that? Like number 10 position is kind of like going the way of the dinosaurs. Like I don't even know many players that are like Dybala in Europe right now. So
no, it's true. Yeah, those are all my favorite type of players. I love Dybala, Luis Alberto, Papu Gomez, like that role, that type of player. But like you said, they're few and far between, especially now. It seems like that role's kind of being phased out of a lot of tactics. But
I was going to say,
is De Ligt staying? By the way, you think he stays or goes?
I think he might. I don't know. I think this is correct, but I guess Barcelona has a $75 million release clause, whereas every other club is like 125 or something for De Ligt. So, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I thought I read that somewhere. But, I mean, if that's the case, I think, having heard that, if that's the case, I think he leaves. I don't know. I just have a feeling that he's going to leave. I mean, a lot of Juve fans, I think, really like to, prop him up as our, future, that future iconic defender that's going to fill the shoes of, Chiellini and whatnot, and it's going to be Capitano and all that stuff. And I don't know. I don't know if I believe it. I don't know, Will. What do you think?
It's
also Mino Raiola, so I mean.
Yeah. The good and the bad with him, with Juventus. De Ligt, if the right offer comes in, and I think David Amayol mentioned this on his pod a couple of weeks ago, it'd be kind of like a Zidane type situation. He brought up a very good point that if he can get 140 million for him, because the Premier League clubs are stupid. They'll do God knows what. They'll pay anything. Sure. And I think I wouldn't even ask for that much. Ideally, in my world, if I'm in charge of the club right now, I would like to go for 60 million and Romero, and bring Romero back to Juventus. And I would be very much satisfied with that. And I would take that 60 million and then apply it to Vlahovic and throw in the extra little bit of cash that we need. And I would be very pleased with my transfer market.
I like it. I want to do one more exercise, and Jerry, I will start with you.
I got one thing to say.
I
don't think I wanted to talk about David's point here, Bentancur. To move Bentancur, it's going to be the same issue as Lazio, say, wanting to sell Luis Alberto. There is a redemption clause where if Rodrigo Bentancur is sold, I forgot who, I think it's Flamingo, that if he came from, I'm not 100%, but if they were to sell,
I think it's where
like
did Tevez go after he came back? Boca?
I think it may be Boca. I think you might be right.
Yeah, it's Boca.
Yeah.
You're right. Mm-hmm.
So if they were to sell Bentancur, they have to give up 10% of their sale or something like that, or 15%.
Yeah, it's a big tax. Yeah.
So that is why the issue of selling Alberto is so hard, and will be so hard for Juventus to sell Bentancur as well, because they're not gonna want to sell Bentancur for less than what they bought him for, and take a loss and give 15% to another club. It's a messy issue. Like it's good in a way if you have a great player you can sell for 60 million, still give that 10%, and it's like, okay, great. And that's why Lazio sets the price at 40 million for Alberto, because they take around 30 million home. That's the problem. That is why people don't really look into why Alberto's value probably a little bit more than what he is, but the way he's playing recently,
he's worth 40 million.
I think he is too, but
I love him.
I know William will think differently, maybe, but
No. I'm a big fan of Alberto, and I would do that Artur Alberto swap in a heartbeat.
Me too.
That
get Lotito really drunk and be like, hey, all right, let's do the swap now.
Whoever that running in that account needs to get just drunk or something. Because
probably the same guy who's been reporting PIF buying Inter for like the last 6 months.
I don't know. I can never see like, and I hear Bernardeschi coming to Lazio, Alberto going to Juventus, Sergei Milinkovic-Savic, another one going to Juventus. It's not happening, guys. Lotito and Agnelli fucking hate each other. Like, apparently there was a deal back in the day, I don't know, a few years ago back, where Lotito lost respect for Agnelli, and he said he will never do business with Juventus again. When was the last time Juve did business with Lazio? I need to know this, because that's what you have. I'm telling you, like, no one look at these things. Like, they're like, oh, yeah, he's coming. Yeah, Savage is coming. But, like, here's the thing, and this is where I'll say I respect Lotito compared to ADL. And I know I don't know the history of ADL, but I'll say in this situation where he has locked up Ciro Immobile, Sergei Milinkovic-Savic, and Alberto long-term contracts. He's given them pay increases 3 times already. Like, I know that our bench sucks. I do agree, and it's not fully on him. We've spent money. We just don't spend money right. That is the problem. But at the end of the day, he's taking care of his players, and we haven't lost him for free. I think Stefan de Vrij was the only thing in the last couple of years, but I think that was a personal decision where he wanted to leave, and we let that slide. Luis Felipe is another issue right now. But again, sometimes it's out of your hands if you think the player's going to stay. If he doesn't, it's one thing, right? But, like, for the most part, our core has been locked up, and I think it speaks a little bit about him. I criticize him so much, but it's one thing I do appreciate and respect is that our best players haven't just, like, left for a bargain. It's not like, yeah, okay, fine, you're a mid-table team, but you still want to show the upper bigger clubs that we're not going to get pushed around. You want our best players, well, come knocking with the right offer. Just because you're Juventus, we're not going to help you. We know you're a bigger club. We know you have the money stashed in the bank. You want our best players, you pay. You don't want to pay, that's your problem. He's not wrong, Lotito. Like,
we'll pay you. It's just going to be over 5 years. But we'll
right.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a layaway plan.
Okay. It's okay. Lazio going to get relegated with Salernitana.
By the way, a lot of good comments in the chat. I see our guy David in there. Chris DeSantis has been active. I know I saw Mass in there earlier. And my favorite commenter, this is my dude, my brother from another mother, Lord Figo. The party always starts when Lord Figo shows up in the chat, who always wants to remind people my Scudetto, and he always rubs it in. And actually, Lazio are not in 5th place because Juve are in 5th place. What place are? They're in 8th place, man. So Figo gave you more credit, actually, Jerry, saying you're in 5th place.
Yeah, for real. I would be so happy if we finished 5th. I think that it would be a massive achievement under Sarri in his first season. I think Europa League is the target for them. Like it's not the target you want, but when you're in a transition rebuild season, I think it's a reasonable target that you have to make your goals realistic and achievable. I think next year should be Champions League based on what they kind of accomplish in the summer transfer market and the winter. But 7 points back, and I think that yeah, that's right. I wanted to say you guys were talking about who top 4. I agree about Milan and Napoli, but I actually
give me Jerry while you're at it. Give me your top 6 because that's the last thing I wanted to do. So I'd love to get your top 6.
No, top 6, man. Freaking, I want to say I'm not. I don't think Atalanta is the same Atalanta in past seasons. I just think this team has lost something. It's got injuries this year. I don't know if Jeremy Boga even fits a 3-5-2. I was reading about that. He doesn't really suit that system, but the one thing you have to remember is Gasperini is the mastermind of making players better. So I will never rule that out.
They always get better in the second half of the season.
I know it's a contradiction in a way, what I'm saying, but like it's kind of weird where he can make players play out of position. But I just wonder, like Boga's been called out that his mentality is he's a lazy man player. Like doesn't always give consistency, and that's exactly what William was saying. Do you pay 45 million for Scamacca? Well, here's another thing. Do you pay whatever, I think 25 million for Boga or whatever it was, or some crazy amount of money?
They made a mistake. Should have went for Berardi.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. And I love that call, actually. That's a really good call.
But my thing is with Boga, I think a change of scenery, I think he's going to have a really good second half of this season. And then I'd kind of maybe worry about like his motivation after this year. Like I'm expecting him to actually be dynamite for the rest of this season once he arrives is my thing. But yeah, so sorry to interrupt you, Jerry. Who do you have in your top 6?
I said I'm going to stick to what I said earlier in the year. So I said Inter would finish first. I didn't even think about it today, man. Fuzz. I'm going to go Milan second because they're not in Champions League or anything. I'll say Juve third. I don't think Roma finishes fourth. I think you're on crack, Chris. I think Roma and Lazio are both shit, and they're gonna drop right the fuck down. They have no stability, they have no consistency because they just don't have that continuity in their club yet. They're transition teams. Like you got Mourinho who changes his fucking formation 5 times already. His teams are up and down. You got Sarri who you think tomorrow they look like freaking platinum, and then the week after they look like bronze. So I think don't even think about Roma or Lazio finish top 4. That is suicide. I would say the 4th spot I'll give is to Atalanta. I think Napoli kind of tails off and really struggle. I don't know what it is, but
a lot of injuries. One thing,
and anybody who says this team doesn't have depth, guys, how can you have your depth and you have 9 guys out of your lineup? Depth does no longer become a thing. It doesn't become a thing anymore because it's like Juventus. If they have half their team out, what depth do you? If you have guys out to COVID and injuries, your depth has been nullified. Like it's hard to even sustain that when you don't have the players that you bought in the first place. So I think the African Cup is going to kind of hurt Napoli maybe, and maybe I'm wrong, but I don't like the direction right now of where Napoli's going in the last couple of games. And I know it's a short stand. I'm just giving my current thing right now, and I'll say Napoli finishes 5th. I'll give who's 6? I don't know. I don't know. I'll give Lazio
Lazio?
6, and
Yeah.
I'll give Roma 7. I think Roma or Lazio out in a great run from the start of the restart. They both have a chance, but none should expect it. I don't know what to expect from Roma or Lazio. I think these teams are just like between injuries and like just continuity and consistency and just trying to get things together. These are teams that are just they're trying to build that identity right now, and I think a lot of teams you're gonna get the honeymoon period where, oh my god, it's all beautiful, and then you're gonna get that kind of gloomy period where it's like, yep, we're back to life again. So I give Inter, like I said, Inter, Milan, Juve, Atalanta, and Napoli. But and at the end of the start of the year, I never thought Juventus would make it this year. I thought there would be a lot of issues, but Allegri is slowly implementing his system, like William said. So again, I'm no expert though. So for all I know, my whole table just falls to shit. So
Yeah, I'll give mine really quickly. Again, like I said it earlier, I hate to say it because I'm a tremendous mush. In fact, me saying this, you guys should probably bet on anyone else to win a Scudetto, but I'm going to stick with Inter in the top spot. They've exceeded all my expectations. I didn't expect Simone Inzaghi to do as well year one as he's doing, especially given who Inter lost. I still miss Lukaku. I mean, obviously they're scoring plenty of goals without him, but I would still feel better if he was still on the squad. Hakimi, same thing. Although Denzel Dumfries has been doing a lot better over the past month or so, he's really coming on, which makes me feel good because I just think there was a time where it took him a while to adapt from the Dutch league, and I think he's actually adapting maybe even a little bit quicker than I expected. Hakan Chalanolu obviously has been a tremendous story for about the past 6 weeks. I hope he can keep it up consistently. And the defense, they've really figured out the balance. I mean, early in the season, they were leaking goals. They've been mostly keeping clean sheets lately. So I'm going to stick with Inter in the top spot. I'm actually, I'll contradict Jerry a little bit. I'm actually pretty bullish on Atalanta to finish second. And I think Boga is going to do well there, at least this season. It wouldn't surprise me if maybe the motivation in next year and the year after that goes down a little bit, because I think he's a player who needs a little bit of a spark. But my thing with Atalanta is they always start super slow and then they gain steam second half of the season. And they've actually started, I think, a little bit quicker this season than they did last year. So it's a trend for them. They always play well second half of the season. So I think Atalanta is going to end up coming in second, and everything to me, like second, third, fourth, fifth, really, really tough. I think it's going to be close for the 4 Champions League spots, for example, but I go Atalanta second. I'll go Milan a very close third. I'm going to go Juventus fourth. They're going to be back in Champions League again. They're going to stay in Champions League. People thought they would fall out. I think they're going to be in. Then I'm going to go Napoli fifth. I think they're going to fall, but they're not going to fall like out of the top 6 or anything. And then, I'm going to go, this is like 6th, 7th, and 8th. It's really tough. I'm going to give a nod to Jerry, and I'm going to go Lazio 6th. And then I'll maybe go Roma 7th, but I respect Fiorentina a lot as well. And I'm assuming there's no way Vlahovic is leaving in January, so he's going to finish out the year there. So I'm gonna go Roma 6, and I'll give an honorable mention to Fiorentina, finishing actually where they are at the moment on the table. So I gave you a bonus. I gave you a top 7. You guys, you don't have to give me 7 if you don't want to. Lex, I'll go to you next. How do you see the top 6 playing out?
Well, I agree with you guys on Inter winning. I think that they are very strong. As you mentioned, they've shown the first half of the season how strong they are. And so I don't see them dropping off enough or anyone really being strong enough to catch them or challenge. Second place, I'm going to agree with Jerry and put Milan in second, mainly because I think that they've like established a good enough lead where I just don't see other teams being strong enough to catch them or to like challenge them at this point. I think that they'll hold second. I think Juve will finish third. I do. I've got Napoli in fourth, mainly because I think Osimhen comes back. I know that right now, as you mentioned, they have a lot of injuries. They have COVID. They got a lot of their players out, and Osimhen was a huge blow to their attack. So I think that they do better. Finished fourth. I've got Atalanta in fifth because although you make good points about them having a better second half of the season, I'm not sure. I don't know. I think I agree with Jerry in the sense where it kind of feels like the shine's wearing off a little bit with Gasperini. I don't know. I don't know if they're as well-oiled of a machine as they usually are. They also lack depth. So, I mean, I don't know. Zapata goes out. I don't know if that can happen. So I'm going with fifth for Atalanta. Sixth, I'm putting Fiorentina in sixth because I think Vlahovic is going to hopefully second half of the season score some more goals, keep up his form. And I also love Vincenzo Italiano. So I love his teams and his system. So I think that he gets Fiorentina into that last spot.
Go ahead, Will. What do you think for top six?
Oh, it's probably going to be Inter. It's going to probably win the Scudetto, but their next their schedule is like brutal coming up. Bologna, which isn't that bad, but then they play Inter, Juve in the Supercoppa, Atalanta, Empoli, Venezia, Milan, Napoli, and then they have the Liverpool game. It's going to be and then Sassuolo, who's kind of like a giant killer this year. But
yeah,
I think they're going to hold on, probably finish in first. Juventus has a pretty difficult goal of it as well coming into the new year. So that could be either good or bad. They're going to be able to pick up points on the teams ahead of them if they win these games. I like to think they are. I probably see them in second. I see Atalanta in third. I mentioned this earlier. Historically, since Gasperini's been there, they're a second half club. They do terrific every single year in the second half. I'd like to see that continuing. And I think they're going to get healthy. I mean, they have Hans Hatterberg back now. They're going to have Gosens back in a few weeks. And to have both of those attacking wing backs supplemented by Zappacosta, I mean, I think that's going to be a big buoy for them going forward. Fourth, Milan. Fifth, Napoli. And sixth, Fiorentina.
I like it. Sorry, I forgot to unmute myself there for a second. I want to give everybody an opportunity before we wrap it up to promote where we can find you, shows, social media. Will, I'll start with you, my friend. Where can people find your amazing calcio and life ramblings?
Twitter, WG DeQuilla at Twitter. That's where I'm at. I don't have anything to promote.
He's a good lawyer.
No, I'm not. I'm not. That was in jest. But I'm glad he believed me.
You needed his services recently.
He defended me on Milan case
against some psychotic. Yeah,
the Milan case.
Oh my God! Yeah, you two. We never talked about that on the show, and I'm not even sure if we can. We'll get sued. We'll probably get sued.
We'll get sued, man. We're being recorded right now.
So we're not going to talk about the document that Jerry. Actually, I was even mentioned in the document as well, and so I may need Will to represent me. There was nothing too inflammatory about me in there, but I did turn up in it, so I may need to retain Will's services as well. We appreciate you, and Lex, we appreciate you coming on, and first time, and hopefully won't be the last time. We'll definitely invite you back on again. Where can people find you?
Well, thanks so much for having me on. I had a great time. And my Twitter @ is DBALEXA, as you can see there. And I also recently joined All Juve Cast.
Awesome.
So you can find me on their podcast. And occasionally
watch out for Cliff.
Watch out for Lucy.
For him. Yeah.
I was going to say, occasionally I'm on Cliff's show Stoppage Time as well, but you can find me there. So All Juve Cast and Stoppage Time.
Yeah, we love Cliff. Cliff is a great guy. We got to bring Cliff back on as well. You like Cliff, right, Jerry? Why you shouldn't? He's like the nicest guy ever. Why you think about it that long?
He's all right.
Okay. Cliff is the man. Jerry, what about you? I remember, over the past week, you told me for the 100th time you were like giving up writing, but it still seems like you're writing. Where can people find your work?
I haven't written for.
Oh, you haven't?
No, I haven't written for the week, and I've really contemplated just not writing anymore soon. Like I've written a lot of articles from the summer where I'm editing, and I'm trying to get those cleared out. But I've really thought about just cold turkey, really cut back, and I've been loving life the last week, not writing. I'm happy just doing this podcast, and that's it. I'll be honest, my mental health hasn't been the greatest in the last month and a half, man. And I don't promote it on Twitter. Like I just said a thank you to people on Christmas because it's Christmas time, and I think it's a positive message for those to see who have helped me. But yeah, like it. Writing and podcasting. Well, I shouldn't say podcasting because podcasting actually gets my mind off stuff. That's not right. Writing does become a lot overwhelming at times when you do a lot in a week. When people like me write 5 articles a week, and no disrespect, I don't expect to get paid, but when you're not getting paid, it's like, why do you do so much as well, right? When you really got to focus on your job, on your life too, right? So, and I never pegged that on any site because you know what you're signing up to, and you say that it's freelance, right? And you're not paid for it. Like, I'm too nice. I don't know how to say no to people and how to do less sometimes. Yeah. That's my problem. So, like, I don't want to say names, but just in general, I lost a good friend last week, and like, with my grandfather passing away this year, and just like COVID's really affected my family, and I don't want this to become like political or anything, but when you half of your family are anti-vaxxers and don't believe in the vaccine, that's fine. You don't believe in it. I am not against you. I don't think you're a different person. I value everybody what they believe in. I don't treat you differently. When I gotta get text messages every goddamn day on my phone, and I gotta see articles of players dying because of respiratory or whatever it may be, and the first thing it's the vaccine. It's like, bro, like honestly, if you have your agenda, that's fine, but leave it to yourself. Don't preach to others just to make yourself feel better because you didn't take the vaccine. And that's where I didn't think that at the beginning, but I have a friend who does that so constantly. It's like, is there something you're trying to tell me that and it's like, are you scared? I'm like, no, what am I scared about? Like, I'm fine. I took what I believe in, and that's it. I don't go telling people that you should take the vaccine. If you don't do it, I'm not going to talk to you. It's like, fuck is wrong with you? Like, and that shit bothers me mentally because it's like, yeah, that's your agenda. That's cool. But like, and I know this is a football podcast and I'm kind of getting off topic here, but like, and anybody who like, I don't think about anybody different on Twitter. That's why I don't tweet about freaking vaccines on Twitter, because I've seen the videos what people post, and they do these. I've seen one girl from the UK, and she does like these riddles about like how the vaccine is bad, and I'm like 2,000 likes, 10.k likes. I'm like, how the fuck does this stupid garbage get likes? I said, like, it's feeding shit out of your mouth. Like I'll say this, and science has helped us in so many ways for so many years. Like, when you have cancer, who do you go to? Do you go to the fucking homeless man on the street for your advice? Like, seriously, do you go to the guy in the closet? Like, science has cured us for so many years. Why is science all of a sudden a failure when it's always been the cure for so long? Like, I don't know. Again, I'm sorry if I have offended anybody. It's not what I want to do. It's just so many things have like worn me out down in my head. Like, just there are days where I just feel out of place. I feel so just lost, and it's like, and then there's days that are much better. I won't lie, and they're good, but I guess it is what it is, and you just try to do the best of what you can, right? So
We love you, man. That's the bottom line. You got people who care about you all over the place, man. Everybody on this panel, everybody on this chat, man. If you need anything, you know where to find me.
no, I appreciate
You're
that.
a good soul, Jerry.
Yeah.
No, it's sad.
And you know what? You wouldn't deny hospital care to people who were sick and didn't take the vaccine like someone else. Alex knows who I'm talking about.
What?
Mhm.
Say that
I know what
again.
you're talking about.
You wouldn't what?
I said you wouldn't deny hospital care to people who didn't take the vaccine like some other calcio personality.
Yeah. What are you talking about? Home run.
Mhm.
I won't say names, but yeah, I don't like that either. I would
Yeah.
never, if you don't want to, you know what? That's such a freaking good point. I'm sorry. I would never deny healthcare to you just because you didn't want to take the vaccine. That is not right, man. Like, you're still giving your right. You're taking someone's right away because
and every doctor has
something.
an oath to treat. It's like they don't they don't deny care to someone, and you Canadians don't have to worry about this, but they don't deny care to people who don't have health insurance, right? I mean, if you show up at the ER, they're like, oh no, sorry, we cannot do this heart transplant because your insurance is not up to date. No, you don't deny care to anybody.
We don't deny people who don't take the vaccine here. Like, you have equal rights here. You go to the hospital. Like, yeah, we Canadians are too nice sometimes. I think, like, during, like, I've seen riots all over the countries of, like, people not wanting to take vaccine. I haven't seen a political riot yet in Canada, as like, which like led to like breaking shit, violence. Like, it's never gotten really severe here.
It's quiet, right?
It's quiet, yeah. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there haven't been riots and stuff in the States or wherever it may be, but maybe William can correct me on that. But like, yeah, for the most part, it's never that bad. But I will say this: the Christmas break came at the right time, and I'm pretty happy that there's no Italian football for 2 weeks.
I missed it.
I don't miss it. I enjoy when the break comes, man. That means I don't have to go to work at 4 a.m. trying to get home for 9 to watch a game. Yeah, I'm that passionate and that crazy. If Lazio plays at 9 a.m, I remember before COVID happened, Lazio played on a Saturday at 9 o'clock, and I went to work at 1 a.m. just to watch the game for 9. And like, I do that all the time, man. I plan my job.
Dedication.
I plan my days around just to watch Lazio, man. Like, it's, I don't know. I never used to be like
send
this.
them something.
They should.
Well, I'll be honest. Like, 4 years ago,
it's too cheap.
if I didn't go to Europe to watch Chelsea versus Southampton, I think right now I wouldn't be giving crap about football. I think it's the fact that I got to learn the culture and the fan base and understanding why they like football so much, and just how the game is set there. Like, the fan base is separate and they have their own chants and everything, and they're in it. It's a different environment, and I really respected it because, like, they're very passionate, and I kind of grew on to what the game is like live. Like, and it's one thing to watch MLS, and it's no disrespect to it, but when you watch a game in Europe,
disrespect it.
No. But when you watch a game in Europe, I got to watch 3 games already in Sweden as well. Like, that was actually a very good experience.
Did you see Nima up there?
Were you with Nima?
I was in Nima's town. I've been there 3 times already, Göteborg, and I got to watch them live.
Wow.
And it was actually entertaining. And I watched Hakan, and it was a Europa League match, and that was pretty cool as well. So yeah, wow. It's way better, man. Like, it's just different. But I guess when you see it, you kind of like understand why. But yeah, my wife, that was on our honeymoon actually, which was another thing. So it's like, my wife's like, fuck, why did we watch this game? Since you came back from watching Chelsea, all you've been doing is football.
Yeah.
Like, you should see my wardrobe, man. It's like 90% Lazio. And like, that year when I got into football, I freaking chose a team in every league. So I cheered for Barcelona. I watched every Barcelona game that year. During the 2018-19 season, I watched Chelsea, I watched Barcelona, I watched PSG, and I watched Lazio, all their games. And I bought apparel for every team. And now, 4 years later, I don't even give a shit about Barcelona and PSG anymore because they're just like never. I just like the team in every league. I just want to be acquainted to it, but I just really just cheer Chelsea and Lazio now, and Barcelona was just because of Messi, and PSG was just to have a team in Ligue 1, and because that was the only team I can find apparel. So,
Okay.
but I would never cheer for PSG again. Like, I have so much apparel. I love their apparel. I will wear it still because it's so nice.
Nice.
Good.
It's such nice stuff,
Well,
man.
let's wrap it up on that note because I've got sleeping to do, my friends. I've got an early morning coming up. So huge shout out
I'm up
again
at
to
4:30,
Jerry,
don't worry.
to Lex, to Will. You guys can make sure you find my work, my Twitter account. I post everything there at Alex Donno. I do daily streams on American sports on the 5 Reasons Sports YouTube channel. We talk primarily about South Florida-based teams. Obviously, here on the Calcio Connection, we tear it up, man. We talk Italian football. And make sure you subscribe to our Patreon channel, Calcio Connection /Patreon, Patreon /Calcio Connection, I should say. Subscribe to our channel. It's mostly extra Inter content. So if you're interested in Inter, you should subscribe there. And a good time will be had by all. So let's say ciao to everybody who watched us. David, Chris, Lord Figo, the man, the myth, the legend. Who else?
I want to know when the heck he's coming back on Twitter, that motherfucker.
Who?
When you come back? When's Lord Figo coming back on Twitter? We want to know when you're.
Is he not on Twitter? Is he banned?
Still banned.
He's still banned?
Probably got caught selling freaking cereal milk on Twitter or something.
I wanted to buy some. We will talk to you guys again next time on another episode of the Calcio Connection podcast. Ciao.